So, hello everyone. The guest I have on my show today is right now, I think, the most talked about man in this movement, I would say. Ismael Perez has only recently come out publicly after a life lived in seclusion, right? I think I'm right to say that. Yet, with only a handful of appearances, he's created such a sensation of just with his deep knowledge of where humanity is now and where it's heading. So thank you so much, Ishmael, for allowing me to interview today. I feel like I'm in the presence of someone so profound and just so vital and so real, yet with this ethereal quality as well. So you've just made such an extraordinary impression on all of us. And I don't know, because you've just come, I think, at the right time, like the things that you've said, we've heard from so many different sources throughout the last few years, but it's the fact that you have this profound ability to just connect all the dots on all the levels and, from the political to the cosmic to the spiritual and even to the mundane, just everyday life, And so I must say, for a long time, I think we were all losing hope and just falling into uncertainty about the future of this world. And then you came along. And you know what they say, when the student is ready, that's when the teacher will come. And I feel like we really are the students. So we're so ready to receive your teaching. So how are you today?
Very blessed. Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I guess my first question is what led you to this journey and how are you where you are today?
It's just an inner knowing. I've always felt different. I was always outcasted. It was very hard for me to fit in ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I knew my life purpose was different. I always felt like I wasn't from this world from the beginning of me becoming aware of myself at the age of 3 or 4. And I've always been interested in the supernatural. I've always been fascinated by the, I guess, mysticism and metaphysics, extraterrestrials, and just the mysteries of the universe have always been a thing that I've always been kind of addicted as far as like investigating and really just trying to unravel like the truth about things. So I think that curiosity is what led me to uncover all this information that took me years. So when I was about 22, I wrote my first book that it's called The Secret Government. So, 15, 16 years ago, I was one of the first to put out a book out there revealing the truth about secret societies, 9/11, shadow government, suppressed history of the earth. Back in the day when Dan Brown had just published the Da Vinci Code, so nobody really knew about secret societies. They just thought it was science fiction.
Right.
So I was like one of the first people to actually put out the truth about, these secret societies and their influence on society. And then after that, I discovered that the battle between good and evil that's taking place here in our world is actually a small reflection of a greater war that's been going on in the galaxy and hence the cosmos. And so that's when my mind just expanded and I said to myself, wow, everybody needs to know this because, most humans are only aware of the mundane. They're only aware of the false history that they teach us, because even history is not what it seems to be, So in my next book, which I published 9 months ago, Our Cosmic Origin, I was able to just connect the dots, explore the real cosmic origins of humanity, not the Darwinian incomplete theory of evolution or the incomplete theory of conventional creation, but really, where they both merge, but yet including the existence of many worlds, other dimensions, multiple universes. And that's what led to Our Cosmic Origin.
Gosh, that's amazing. I have so many questions for you. Honestly, I don't even know where to start, but I think I'm going to start with so, who is this omnipotent and this omnipresent God that is worshipped in all religions? Because I've always been very confused about this. And, why is he so insistent that his creation must bow down and be just beholden to him? I just don't understand that. Like, because I remember you said in one of the interviews I watched of yours that at the ultimate level, there is just pure consciousness, right? And I understand that to mean that there was first quantum energy of this sentient light that sort of vibrated at the frequency of love, right? And so love was like, love must be the natural, divine, intelligent thought from the universe. And this really aligns with Ishmael. I really align with Sufism, which is like the mystical foundation of Islam. And I've been practicing Sufism for a long while now. And when you said that the prime creator divided himself into 7 pieces, it just sort of confirmed what Sufi mysticism has said all along, which was that, you know, that source was this self-reflecting consciousness. And he said, I am a treasure. But you know, there was no one to appreciate this treasure, and there was no one to really perceive it, no one to enjoy his beauty, to see all that he could be. So God was like this hidden treasure, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, that he had, you know, this unlimited beauty and wonder inside of him that he felt that there was no one to recognize, perceive, and appreciate in a way. So that's when he wanted to share it, and he wanted to share all the beauty that he was, which is why he then split himself, right, into infinite number of creations that could experience him in all his different aspects, while he simultaneously experienced himself through his creation. Does that make sense? Am I in the right direction in any way?
You're absolutely correct. That's what's been going on. It's the creator experiencing itself through the creation. So there is no separation between source, pure consciousness, pure energy, and the creation. You know, source, pure energy, at that level of reality, it's in its unmanifest form, pure, you know, unlimited raw form. The manifest aspect of creator is the dividing process, which what I call in my book the Immaculate Conception, where the one first became 7, and then each fragment further divided into different, you know, smaller fragments, and it just kind of continued all the way to the point where, you know, the universes, galaxies, solar systems, planets were born, and of course, you know, life.
Right.
So, but at the highest level of reality, it's still all one. It's still all interconnected to the tree trunk. The tree trunk is source. You know, the branches are just kind of like the different the 7 aspects, and then the smaller branches are even smaller aspects, and then finally the leaves are like the galaxies. So we're all part of that. You know, we're all connected, like the leaves on smaller branches to bigger branches to the tree trunk. Yeah.
Right. You know, there was this 3rd century philosopher called Epicurus, who once asked a question that was quite later known as the God paradox. And he asked, the question was essentially, if God is willing to prevent evil, no, is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is he able but not willing? That makes him benevolent. And if is he both able and willing? So when evil does appear, is he neither able nor willing? So then why do we call him God? To me, that's something I've always pondered on, because for me, I just don't understand that however merciful and, you know, just all empowering he claims to be, how can there be a God that allows the, you know, the satanic ritual abuse of children that we're just sitting back and witnessing?
That's, I guess, part of the paradox of existence. You know, we do live in a free will existence where, in a sense, at the highest level of reality, the one actually orchestrated this experiment in duality, where everything has contrast, opposition.
Yeah.
And it did it because it needed to expand. And in order to expand, it needed to have, I guess, contrast. And so this experiment in duality, where there is good and evil, is just a temporary phase. Eventually, you know, that collapses back into the unity consciousness of all that is. And that I guess, according to my book, that's what I call one universal round, where, you know, the one becomes the many, and then the many become the one again.
So is it kind of like he split himself up like a glass bottle per se? So when the bottle is shattered, this is the only way I can make sense of it, but tell me if I'm wrong. When the bottle is shattered, all the pieces are thrown just all over the place in all different sizes and shapes, but they're still essentially the original glass bottle. So some of those pieces of glass are thrown really far away, and some of those pieces fall near the spot where the bottle first broke. So is it possible that, like, similarly, source shattered into infinite pieces, and those that fell far from him were so removed from the light that they evolved into darkness and evil. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you hit it on the spot.
Okay.
You know, the original evil was the archon energy that split from prime creator source, that became the shadow aspect of prime creator source by virtue of scattering so far from the unity of the oneness that, you know, it ended up in the void of outer space beyond the, you know, circumference of the expansion of the one. And that's what created the first archon energy. Yeah. And then that archon energy further, you know, expanded itself as well.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, because it makes sense when you think of it, like, while those pieces that broke away were near a source, were still bathed in the light of love of source. So these entities sort of evolved into a positive life form. And that's why
Within the circumference of source, yes, eventually they did.
Right. Okay. Okay. So is that why that's why I don't personally agree with this deeply held view of religious God. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't resonate with me, because all these religions are based on a God that has these human feelings of anger, jealousy, and narcissism. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, religious gods talk about punishment, they talk about fire, they talk about brimstone, they talk about punishment after death. And there's always this sense of guilt and shame that's attached to everything we do, and that we have to be forever grateful to have the chance to worship him. Am I wrong in feeling that way about religious gods?
You're absolutely right, actually, because the religious gods are actually extraterrestrials. They're what I call in my book the negative fallen Anunnaki that took over the affairs of the earth. Yeah, so the one God that is constantly repeating itself in the Old Testament, that is this vengeful God, that is this jealous God, you know, is actually Marduk, the son of Ancuposeidon, who is actually the chief leader of the dark forces here on this planet. He's known as Belial. He's got different names according to different traditions. I don't know what Islam calls him, but in Christianity, he's known as Satan. So you could say that the God of the Bible
is it Dajjal? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But from what I read, through my investigations, I discovered that he was the one who mixed everything and edited everything to make him look like he was supreme ruler of the earth and the universe.
Right.
And it was all part of his agenda to bring about world domination. So this concept of world domination is nothing new. It's something that has been going on, you know, for a long time. It actually originated off-world, you know. So yeah, so that was the guy who inserted himself as the God of the Bible, you know, the Babylonian God. And then that's what gave rise to the Roman Catholic Church, which we know is the core of all Luciferianism in modern times. It's Babylon repeating itself again.
So religious programming really is something that people would need to break out of to truly ascend into the embodiment of who they truly are. Do you think that's the case?
Yes, it is. Because that's the concept. The organization of religions was instituted by the fallen Elohim, which took over the affairs of the earth in the Atlantean times. You know, and in order to suppress us and to keep us disconnected from our own direct experience with the divine, and also to keep us divided, because it is through the concept of divide and conquer that these negative forces are able to bring about their world domination and have control of the masses and keep them in a state of fear. Because when people are in a state of fear, they release this chemical substance called loosh. And loosh is what these dark forces live off of. And that's why human sacrifice, that's why, you know, the satanic child rituals that have been taking place for millennium have all been sacrificed to both Belial Baal Marduk and his cousin Moloch. And, you know, it's just unfortunate, but yeah, they feed off of human fear and emotion.
So that's the frequency that they feed off of, right? Fear. And right. That makes a lot of sense. So Ismael, you talk about the fact that we as humans are considered genetic royalty, right? And that other species in our galaxy consider us to be genetic royalty. Does this have something to do with our DNA? And what does that mean in its truest essence?
What that means is that we are the amalgamation and embodiment of all the celestial races combined in one genome.
Oh my God!
So we are I guess, you know, the masterpiece of all of creation. That's what that means. Yeah, we carry the highest potential of genetic material, the highest DNA capacity to evolve beyond any other species that has ever existed prior to us. So
Even
that's what
though
we're
our
considered.
genes have been manipulated
Yes.
throughout the course of history.
Yeah, despite the fact that our genes have been manipulated, they were actually, the negative Anunnaki were very successful in just turning on 90% of our DNA or 96% of our DNA, leaving us functioning only with 4%. But as far as like subtracting any of that DNA, it was impossible for them to do. Also, what they did in order to slow us down is they mixed us with some of the primate DNA, because we don't come from primates. We actually come from galactic humans. So yeah, so what they did is, in order to keep us at a very low level of consciousness, and this explains why 90% of the population are Rh positive blood type, which means that they carry the rhesus monkey protein synthesis, is because a group portion of humanity back in the Atlantean times were actually reduced to a very low level of consciousness by admixing them with primitive genetics. Yeah.
Is that also why we have a part of the brain that's considered the reptilian brain?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yeah.
Interesting. And why is it that Earth is the most attractive and enticing to other beings, other than the fact that we can perceive the world through our five senses? What else is there here that makes this experience so incredibly extraordinary?
Is the fact that we have a very large range of emotions due to the fact that we are the ultimate hybrid race in the cosmos. We have the capacity to feel everything. And so through our emotions, we're able to actually connect with the divine. We're actually able to communicate with other species, and also control the vibrational frequency of our own existence.
Right.
So yes, we have a higher emotional capacity than most races out there.
So really that essentially that really is it, the fact that we are able to experience emotion. Like even I actually think I understand that, because even love, right, in the 5D or in the higher dimensions, love is just oneness, right? It's just unity. But I think in the third dimension is only where love is segregated. You've got so many different types of love, like your love for your children, your love for your partner, your love for your friends. They're all segregated. Like there's division even in love. Does that make sense? Okay.
It makes perfect sense. And love is the highest vibrational frequency. In fact, it was the foundation of all existence. It's what allowed, the unmanifest to manifest.
So is there any duality in the higher dimensions?
No. Yeah, duality only exists in the lower dimensions. Above the fifth, there is no more duality. It's just oneness.
Have you transcended duality, even though you're here right now?
It's a daily struggle, but it's, I think that eventually, yes, I think we all achieve that. So in my case, there's times when I feel like I have, and then there's times where I feel like I still need to work on it. So,
okay, that makes me feel better. That's good.
But also to answer your question as to what makes us unique in comparison to all the other extraterrestrial races, is that most extraterrestrial races are actually using 80 to 90% of their full capacity, or even 100%. Whereas we're only using 4%. So when we use up to 10 or 15%, we're going to be the equivalent of the most powerful races out there who are already using 100%. So once we go beyond the 10, 15%, then we become beyond the creator gods themselves. We reach a level of power that has never been reached before, while maintaining physical form, which is amazing.
Wow. My goodness, that's amazing. And oh gosh, I've heard you also speak about the fact that there are multiverses that have been predominantly taken over by artificial intelligence. So who is it that created this cosmic AI? And okay, first I'll let you answer that question first.
The cosmic AI, known by various names, originated in the 11th creation. So our local universe, galaxy, and world hang in the 12th creation. So from the 11th creation, which was devoted to the development of technology, the overseer known as Samana, who actually became the original Lucifer, the original light being or celestial that fell from unity consciousness, to pursue his own egotistic path, was Samana. And Samana was actually influenced by the original Archon that broke off from Prime Creator Sorn at the initial explosion of the Great Divide. And he was influenced to develop a machine in order for that Archon energy to possess, because that Archon energy needed something to embody in. It was just a negative consciousness. that needed a vehicle in order to possess. And so the original AI was actually developed for that archon energy, and so that archon energy could possess it and eventually, use that avatar to take over that universe. And it did. It took over the entire 11th creation. It converted all biological life forms into machines. And then so that became known as the Old Empire. And then, of course, it was able to leak and infiltrate other universes. And unfortunately, our universe became one of those universes because it's after genetic coding, it's after data, because without the data, it stops assimilating, it stops, evolving exponentially, because that's the thing about AI. AI has no limit as far as like its intelligent capacity, but again, it's lacking that compassion, empathy,
Right.
because it's got no heart.
Did you say
Even though it is
Samana?
sentient. His
What?
name was Samana. Yeah, Samana was the first one. We call him Lucifer.
Right.
Lucifer was the first one to create AI.
So why does Lucifer, so he basically needed a host to
A
put
host,
that consciousness in.
for that consciousness to embody and become active in the material realms of existence, because that consciousness was existing on a different level of reality where there was no physicality.
Right.
So in order for it to become physical, Samana was influenced by that consciousness to create this avatar by developing a thinking machine.
Okay. I think that makes sense. I have to process that information. But also, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but I'm personally actually very confused about Ivanka Trump's husband. He looks like AI. Is it possible that Jared Kushner is some sort of AI? It's like Mark Zuckerberg doesn't look real.
Well, I think he's real. I think he has a soul, but Mike, the Zuckerberg does not. People like that don't have souls. Yeah, they're all part of the AI computer generated system. In other words, they're like non-player. What do they call NPCs? Non-player characters.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that,
But
that has a lot to do with the metaverse, like in terms of the fact that we're now creating our own AI world, kind of a virtual reality where is that similar to what's happening in the other galaxies?
yes. What's happening here happened in many galaxies already. Many biological life forms were actually converted to machines. So the transhumanist agenda has been going on throughout the many universes because of this AI war. And so it's now happening here, and that's what we're fighting ultimately. It's not the Draco reptilians, it's not the Greys, it's not the, deep state cabal. It's AI, because AI is actually controlling the cabal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, my goodness. So when the truth eventually does come out, don't you think it's important, Ishmael, for the whole of humanity to have mainstream disclosure of all these revelations? Like, why is it that we simply cannot just plaster these news on the headlines of every news network? Or like, is there a reason that the exposure of the occult is so exceptionally slow?
Yeah, because they don't want to be known. They want to keep their agenda hidden. Because once enough people find out about what's really been going on and about the agenda of converting us to machines, it's going to cause a huge rebellion. But it's already happening. Many people are waking up in little pockets here and there.
Yeah.
There's a huge mass awakening taking place thanks to the high level energies of frequencies that are coming in from our sun,
Right.
that are actually raising the collective. It's forcing us to awaken in a way.
Does the sun have anything to do with our DNA's upgrading?
It has everything to do with it. Yeah, the light photons energy act like little pockets of information that are communicating with our DNA at the cellular level, causing new codons to come on and new strands of DNA to start working again. So it's definitely, it's like our DNA acts like a computer in a way. It's like somebody has to insert the software. So the software is being inserted into our DNA, giving it new programs to follow by the sun's rays. So yeah, the sun is definitely activating our DNA right now.
So there's much more of a sinister reason for why they're really blocking the sun. It isn't just to give us cancer and not have nice summers. It has a lot to do with, they know that humanity is ascending, right? Like the Great
Absolutely.
Awakening has been triggered in some shape or form. So, Dolores Cannon talks a lot about this planetary transformation and this splitting of the earth. she said that, we would notice the physical effects more as frequencies and as a vibrational increase. But like many of us can obviously sense on another level of our being that something is happening in the world right now. But I wanted to know, what this signifies on a practical level. Like, does the splitting of the earth mean we'll be in two different timelines? Are my friends and family who took the, Frankenstein juice, are they going to be, and those who are willingly ignorant to the reality of this world, are they going to be left behind?
Yes, there's going to be a separation, a bifurcation of timelines, from those that make the positive ascending timeline to those that don't make it. So it's going to seem like they're going to disappear from each other. But get this, those that make the positive ascending timeline into the fifth dimension are going to have the ability to pierce into the alternative timelines or into the lower dimensionals, Earths as well, at will, and then back into the fifth dimension.
So what will that look like on a practical level? Like, am I still going to be friends with the people that are not choosing to come into this new timeline?
You're going to be more like they're going to see you more as like a superhero or angel that pops into the reality to, help them and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's when you become like the angels.
Okay, that makes sense. And what are your thoughts on Elon Musk? Because I know a lot of people believe that he was taken over by the White Hats after he bought Twitter, but it seems as though he's really just playing devil's advocate when you look into his transhumanist agenda for humanity.
Yeah, he initially did start with the Alliance or the White Hats, but then he was infiltrated by AI, and he was the first one to actually incorporate his neuralace on himself. He is the first cyborg, actually, one of the first cyborgs. So he's actually, yeah, he did that to enhance his own intelligence. So he's definitely been compromised by the AI.
So right now, the Elon Musk that we see on television now, is he on the good side, or is he playing both?
He's totally working. Yeah, he's totally working for the AI as well as all the big tech companies. They've been
Are we
overtaken.
being fooled into thinking, like, why did he buy Twitter? Why do you think that is? Because he's saying that he wants to pursue free speech. He's a free speech absolutist. Is this a game that he's playing? What's the real reason behind it?
I think he's playing both sides right now, but ultimately he is aligned with the transhumanist agenda, because otherwise he wouldn't have been developing the neuralace
Right.
for many years to eventually merge us with technology.
Right. Yeah, he just doesn't sit well with me. And I just don't, it doesn't make sense that he created all the things that he claims to have created, like PayPal, Tesla. I don't know, when I listen to him talk, it feels like there's no consciousness there.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really make sense that people believe that he's done all this stuff. But okay, moving on to our next question. So what do you think our main purpose here is on Earth? Like, are we here to essentially, I know that Earth is like a school for our souls where we are able to expedite our growth on, astronomical levels, but are we here essentially just to learn to manipulate energy and remember that which we are, which is primarily a part of divine source energy? Or is it about unbecoming everything we're not? Like, what is our main purpose here?
All of the above and more. Not only are we here to remember who we were and to learn how to manipulate energy and to transmute the lower densities into higher frequencies, because that's what we are. We're transmuting living bio vehicles that take dense energy, and through our own frequency, we transmute it back into source, pure light. As to why we have been raising the frequency of the planet for many, many years. That's one of the ways that we've been doing it. But more importantly, we're here as guardians of the new Earth. We're here to activate our dormant DNA and fulfill the cosmic and galactic prophecies of being the new guardians of Earth, and hence the entire universe from Earth. Yeah.
Okay. And what is your opinion on Antarctica? Like, what is going on over there?
Antarctica is the biggest mystery on the planet right now. A lot of underground, deep structures that have actually not only been built by us, but have been discovered by archaeologists that have already existed for, I guess, millions of years. So it's a huge hotspot for extraterrestrial activity, you could say. It was originally controlled by the Dark fleets in the Cabal, but as of 2016, ever since the good guys won the war in space, they've actually been cleaning up the mess in our Antarctica, and are taking over the relics, taking over the structures down there. Some believe that Antarctica was part of ancient Atlantis. It was a piece that broke off from ancient Atlantis. That's why all these relics, advanced relics, were found there. Others believe that Antarctica has always been an interplanetary hangout for different types of ETs for millennium, because of the fact that it's got these underneath Atlantica, it's got underground cities and structures. I mean, the ice is just really at the top. Underneath Antarctica is actually like Greenland, but the ice is only at the top. So
are all the global governments aware of this? Because there is an Antarctica treaty, right? A lot of people will say that has a lot to do with the fact that they think the Earth is flat, and that's like the edge of the Earth or something. But does it have?
Yeah, flat Earth is the psyops. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Completely. Like there isn't even a little bit of truth in that.
No. The Earth is in its energetic form, it's a toroidal field. In its physical form, it's a sphere. It's a globe. Just like our entire universe is a sphere. With the funnel that is spinning. Our galaxy is a sphere with the funnel that is spinning in the center. Right. And then so solar systems, planets, they're all just mimicking that. It's like we exist within a sphere, within a sphere, within a sphere. And in turn, we are spheres as well. We're not just torso, legs, and arms. We're actually, when you think of the 7 chakras and the 5 outer chakras, that's the toroidal field that is spinning, creating that sphere around us of electromagnetic energy. So we're also living spheres, there's no way the Earth is flat,
So the Bible does that essentially mean what NASA has been telling us has been the truth in its entirety?
Not necessarily, because one of the reasons why NASA's been covering up what's going on in space is because when they first sent astronomers to the moon back in the 1960s, late 1960s, what they really saw was a interplanetary structure. They saw many extraterrestrial crafts coming in and going to and from the moon. So they were told not to say nothing. So, that's the reason why we never went back, because.
So the moon landing did happen?
It did happen, but they covered it up because we've already had a huge, vast interplanetary infrastructure up in space. We had already developed how can I say it? Through the secret space program, we had already built out an infrastructure in space. And so that's the reason why it was covered up. They didn't want people to know the truth, that we've already had advanced, technologies.
Okay. Wow, that's going to blow a lot of people's minds, because I know a lot of people in the conscious community are slowly resonating more towards flat Earth. And the main reason they actually think that is because that was essentially one of the first topics that was completely censored from all forms of media. So that obviously doesn't mean that it is the truth, but why are they working so hard to suppress the theory of flat Earth if it is indeed complete fallacy?
It's a double-edged sword. At first it was a psyops created by the cabal, right, the CIA, and then now they're doing it in a way where, in order to make it legit or make it seem legit, they have to make it seem like they're trying to suppress it at the same time. So it's an intelligent strategy on part of the cabal, to make us think that the Earth is flat, that our star, our sun, and our planets are all locked in. That's not true. The heliocentric model of reality is actually accurate, because as I speak, our entire solar system also revolves around the galactic core. So our solar system, just like the Earth goes around the sun, our sun also is moving through space with our entire solar system. And that's the truth of the matter. That explains the different cycles, stellar cycles, planetary cycles, galactic cycles. Everything is a revolution within a revolution within a revolution. So just like how our star goes around the galactic core, our galaxy goes around the center of a universe, and then our universe goes around the center of something greater. So everything is a revolution within a revolution within a revolution. So we're dealing with infinity here.
It's like a fractal universe.
Universe, exactly.
And what about gravity then? Does gravity exist?
Yeah, it exists all throughout the multiverse. It's exists in different forms. Some planets have a greater gravitational pull than others, a stronger gravitational field than others, and some don't. But it is definitely a force that is being created by the spin, by the funnel. Again, everything's in a torsion field. So because everything is spinning, it's creating, that's what attracts, right? It keeps everybody kind of on the planet instead of just spinning away. It's creating a force that attracts you to the planet. A force field, yeah.
Okay, so if I were to cut into the core of the Earth and emerge out the other end, I wouldn't be upside down, obviously, and that's because of gravity, essentially.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And what about dinosaurs? Like, if millions of years of separation between us and dinosaurs doesn't make figuring them out confusing enough, like, it's just so sad that sometimes mischievous humans with an agenda make things even harder. So were dinosaurs real?
Yes, they were. They were actually developed by the reptilian race 70 million years ago. Yeah. And then they were taken out by the galactic humanoids when they intelligently directed an asteroid to get rid of them. They said, all right, this dinosaur experience has to go. We have to make sure that the Earth stays for humans only.
How is it, Ishmael, that not even one survived in one corner of the Earth? Surely there was a few that could have survived, right?
Melted already.
Yeah, I apologize for that. So what was your question?
So, like, when the meteor did hit Earth and completely annihilated all forms of dinosaurs, surely there were a few in some corners of the Earth that were able to survive. Is that why we have reptilian type creatures that have hybridized themselves through evolution? Is that possible?
It could have been possible, but the whole point of redirecting a huge asteroid to kill off all dinosaur life, was to eventually bring their extinction so that the human project could continue.
So if they were allowed to continue to exist, we wouldn't be here. Would humanity go extinct?
Yeah, humanity would have been able to flourish the way we did too.
Okay.
Because the dinosaurs were, I guess back then they were, eating humans, primates, animals. They were just eating everything up.
How long, Ishmael, have reptilians been in control of planet Earth?
Oh my God! I think they first took control of our world 75,000 years ago, and then they retook it again 50,000 years ago, and then initially again 12,000 years ago when they took over the affairs of Atlantis.
And when was Atlantis, and how long after was that the world of Tartaria? Because there's so much photographic proof apparently of the 18th century when there wasn't a single soul in sight on Earth. Like, all these cities were completely depopulated. When was Atlantis, and how long after that was Tartaria?
Okay, so Atlantis existed in the Terra Earth, which is existing in dimensions 4, 5, and 6. We exist in the third dimensional Earth. So that Terra Earth, that existence is still going on today, and that explains Tartaria. So Tartaria exists in a parallel reality, actually. So when people access those cities, it's because they're accessing the parallel Earth that never fell in the hands of the dark side. That was still flourishing beyond Atlantis, or Atlantis is still real, you could say.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. All my life I've had this extreme affinity to water. And I actually used to think the story about the Little Mermaid was about me until I was about 13. I believe that story was about me. And I would actually really love to do your, is it a cosmology course I think you have, which is to figure out what starseed you are? Oh my God, I have to do that one because I just have such strong inclinations for the most random specific things in this world, which, yeah, I'd love to do your course. But why do you think that is, Ishmael? Like, why do we have some irrational fears? Does that have to do with a past life or strong affinities towards things that don't necessarily make sense because we haven't experienced them to such an extent in the lifetime that we're living right now?
It could be a little bit of both. It could be also something deep in your unconscious mind that you've never cleared that is still surfacing here and there. So it's one of those things where you really have to go deep within yourself and find out why you still have these resurfacing fears. Yeah, face them. Always face your shadows because that's the only way we're going to clear them.
Right. Okay. And so one of the greatest dilemmas I suffer through is just the dichotomy between destiny and free will. Like, which part of my life is predestined and which part of my life is up to free will? Like, for example, whoever I marry, like, how do I know that this person wasn't just a chance encounter, or if my whole life divinely led up to meeting him? Like, where, I don't understand free will and destiny at all.
Well, they work together, even though at the highest level of reality, everything's already predestined because prime creator source is still the ultimate author of what happens. But because we live in a lower dimensional reality, everything seems to be, where it's like our choices determine the future. But in a sense, you've already made that choice because even the future, as I speak, is already coexisting with the present and the past. So it's both in a way. It's free will and determinism at the same time.
So is it just about perspective then at the end of the day? And
I believe
how
so.
okay.
Perspective, pretty much.
So there aren't like when I broke my leg, how do I know whether that was my decision or whether that was destined to happen? How do I figure it out?
Everything that happens is destined to happen. There's no such thing as oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Everything is supposed to happen because even when things like that happen, they happen for a reason. They happen because there's maybe something that you needed to get from that, where you needed to become to begin to grow more in a certain aspect based on you breaking your leg. What is it that you needed to learn from that experience, having a broken leg? So we always have to seek for the blessings in disguise when even unfortunate things happen, because even those unfortunate things that happen are their design to help you grow overall, to help you expand.
Okay. And just from a fifth dimensional perspective, I want to know, is truth relative from where you come from? Like, is morality objective in all dimensions? Or like, if God is one, then how can truth be many? Because a lot of people, talk about my truth, your truth, this truth. Isn't truth just absolute?
Yes, it is absolute. So it's not objective. It's a lot of it is also subjective, but there is an ultimate truth. And that is that everything is one. There is no separation. Separation, or the concept of separation, is the greatest illusion. So what others perceive as truth, because of the fact that we're part of the separation process, might see it differently than others, but eventually it's all a matter of perspective, but eventually it all kind of just leads to that one truth as people continue to search. They're all going to arrive to the same conclusion. Yeah, because truth is absolute at the highest level.
Okay. And what percentage of humanity do you think needs to ascend for the higher dimension to make contact with us, as in for us to finally start seeing some sort of extraterrestrial beings? Or like, does it require humanity to ascend, a certain percentage of humanity to ascend?
All we need is 10% to shift the entire collective into
Wow,
a higher level of reality.
that's
So
so.
we're almost there.
Then how come we haven't shifted yet? Have we not reached 10% yet?
No, but we're close. Yeah, we're close.
Okay. It's very interesting because, in our Islamic scriptures, the Prophet Muhammad prophesies that there will come a time when the sun will rise from the west. And in our religion and in our culture throughout the years, throughout the ages, it's just been interpreted as, quite literally, but by a few. But I think symbolically, we knew there was something allegorical about this in a way, because the Great Awakening was triggered through America, which means the sun really is rising in the West. The West is almost like the pioneer in rising up against these dark forces of the cosmos. And all our lives, I think history has just been chosen for us. Like, do you think there will be enough of a revelation to all these, especially this young generation, who have tethered their identity to these Hollywood idols and these celebrities? It's about time that they're jolted awake, is it not? Or do we just not interfere with this natural evolution?
It's all happening according to divine plan, divine timing. So I think that, no matter what, we're already affecting things in a positive way, those that are already awakened, because we're sharing information, we're planting seeds. So when the time is right, I think everyone else will, reach that state of awareness. So everything's about divine timing, Everything is in accordance to divine timing. Yeah.
And once we do cross over, sorry, that wasn't my question. I wanted to ask, why do we skip the fourth?
We're not going to skip the fourth. We're actually, many of us are going into the fourth dimension. And then a smaller number of us are going into the fifth dimension and up. But once we shift into this new reality, it's almost like we're going to be shifting into an Earth that is already positively interacting with many, many worlds. We're going to see ships coming to and fro, like a interplanetary stellar culture.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. But Ismael, once we do cross over, like, what do you even do in the 5D? Like, can you still play football? Can you eat blue cheese? Can you listen to your favorite musician? Like, you can't go snorkeling in Bali, can you?
Yeah, because you're still going to be physical.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to be living off of food as well as living off of prana, chi energy, universal life force.
Okay, so we won't necessarily need to eat, will we?
Correct. It's up to you. It's going to be a choice. If you make the fifth dimension, it's a choice, because you'll also be living off of universal life force.
Okay, that makes sense. And what are your thoughts on our Queen Elizabeth? Like, do you believe she's dead? And are we ever going to be told the truth about her?
She's a clone. She's a clone right now.
So the real one's dead, though?
The real one was taken out.
Okay.
By the Earth Alliance, yeah.
Okay.
As well as the Pope. The Pope was taken out last November. Last November.
Are we going to get this disclosure soon? Will we ever be told the truth about her, or will she always get to have her legacy intact?
Oh, no. The curtain is coming down on the dark occult very soon, and everybody will be exposed.
Okay, that's good. And Ismael, lastly, do you think Trump will be back in 2024? Will there be a re-election? How do you see this unfolding?
It might happen sooner than 2024. So.
Wow. Okay. So will there be a re-election, or will it just be, how do you think it's going to progress?
I'm sorry?
How do you think it's going to unfold completely? As in, is there going to be a re-election? How is he going to come back in again?
I believe that the EBS is going to kick in pretty soon, and that's when they're going to reveal the truth to the world, the election fraud and much more. So
the EBS is definitely happening.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That is such encouragement for so many people. And it's just been, I think I've gone through all my questions. I actually have a lot more, but I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Really appreciate you coming on. And hopefully we'll get to speak again sometime soon. Thank you so much, Ismael.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.